I'm Duncan Charman, and today I've come to my local river way to a swim that I know contains fish. My target really is some quality dace, and this swim is just full of them, but unfortunately today the weather conditions aren't very good. We've got white cloud, atmospherics are very, very high. We even had a frost today, and coupled that with a river that's low and clear, I would be happy to catch, a dozen fish today. We've also got the outside chance of the odd wild brown trout, and if we're lucky, a chub or two. But as I say, on a good day here when the river's up and coloured, I could catch 50 fish, 30 pound of fish. But today, if I get a double figure bag, I'll be more than happy. About my second or third trot down. Unfortunately I bumped a big chub, or chub just the hook pulled, and then at long last we've got a dace. Not the biggest dace I've caught down here, but it shows they're there, and on a really, really cold day they're most welcome. There's that one, in fact. Yeah, that is a dace. I thought it was a little chub. You can see how big they are. Big fat bellies where they're coming up for spawning. So normally at this time of year, if you can find one dace, you'll find quite a few. Gorgeous looking fish. Tiny little river, big fish. If you get this one in, that'd be good. I've been fishing this swim for about an hour now, but unfortunately the minnows seem to have taken over. I've tried up in the feed, but 99 out of 100 bites I'm getting now are just minnows, and all of a sudden you'll get a chub or a dace and it takes you by surprise. So actually targeting better fish is just nigh on impossible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a walk upstream, try and find a couple more pockets of fish, and then maybe come back here later. But that's the problem with a river that's really, really low and clear. You're just going to spook your fish. Luckily I've had a couple of good chub, half a dozen dace and a little brownie, so I'm quite happy with the result there. As I say, on another day you can get 30 pound of fish out of this swim, but it's just, there's no point staying here striking at like tiny little bites. So as I say, I'm going to go and rove around, find another little shoal of fish, catch half a dozen upstream, and then come back here later on. But as you can see, I've moved upstream Obviously travelling light is a big key to my style of fishing, you know, especially on a cold day like today. All I take is a float rod. This one's a 13-foot float rod, either a centre pin or a closed face. I tried using a centre pin this morning, but it was just too cold and there's just not enough flow on the river. Also I've got my landing net, telescopic landing net, so I can just push it down, carry it with my rod. And I've got a rucksack here with my unhooking mat. I've got all the essentials I need in there, terminal pieces of kit, camera, scales, just in case I get that you know, one in a lifetime pound dace or so. Before we move on, let me just show you the rig I'm using. As I say, it's a 13-foot rod, and I'm using this alloy stick. I use an alloy stick because I just find in these small shallow streams you just get so much more control over a standard balsa stick. And I've just, you know, attached that with 3 rubbers. It's about 6 number 4, and I put those down the actual line shirt button, down the length of the depth, so they're almost equal, and then just a couple of number 8s at the bottom. So this one's got, let's have a look, 4 number 6, 2 number 8s. We're only fishing very shallow water, as you can see. I had those dace in literally 2 foot of water, and down at the bottom I've got a size 16 hook. I've got a micro barbed on there because obviously the fish have got very delicate mouths, so especially dace, so you don't want to use barbless. I don't anyway. And the line here is only 0.11, so it's quite a fine line, but it gives me enough kind of what can I say, confidence that if I hook a big chub that I'm going to land it, especially on a nice forgiving rod. So that's the rig. Obviously if the water's up and flowing through really hard, you might want to bring all those shot down and just bulk shot it with 2 droppers, but when it's low and clear, shirt button style. And that's basically the rig, nice and simple. Well, let's talk about the bait. Obviously we've gone through the rig, nice and simple, just an alloy stick. And when you're dace fishing, for me, predominantly it's red magnets. I put a few whites just in case they actually want a little bit of a change, but predominantly red maggots. And what I actually put in the red maggots is a bit of turmeric, and then just a nice bit of whiskey flavouring. I mean, this is really, really good. It's one of the best kind of like smells I've had. So very good for your chub and your roach. So little tip for you. And when you actually rove in the river, you don't want to have a bucket and keep bending down into a bait box. So one of these little kind of like bait caddies here are great just to keep your maggots in, and you can just stand up and just feed a few. And there we are, just loads of red maggots. Very, very simple. Double red maggot. If they get really cagey, you might want to go down to an 18 and a single red, but I find double red on a 16 is as good as anything. What we come for. So it's not as big as I thought. I thought that was going to be, it just, although it's got the length, it just lacks the body of the ones downstream. Look at it, it's hollow. It got me quite excited actually, because I saw that twisting and turning and I thought that can't be a dace, it's too big. As you can see, I've come downstream again. It's really shallow and I'm doing a bit of long trotting, and dace have been my target species today, and I've got to be honest, I probably had dace to maybe 8 ounces, but I've just hooked a fish right downstream here. I bumped the fish a few minutes ago and I think I'm going to call it a day after this fish. So I've had a thoroughly enjoyable day on a little chalk stream. Got plenty of fish today, caught in most swims I've actually been in, maybe only 1 fish here or 1 fish there, but just shows you how good these little streams are. And it's the sort of fishing, this is what I used to do when I was a kid. I used to just come down here. I remember passing my driving test coming into Farnham, and this might be a little trout actually, and just enjoying fishing the float. And yeah, it's a little trout, so it's not going to be the dace that we I was hoping for to finish the day, but I think that's probably about 5 trout I've had today. And there we go. Absolute perfection in miniature, that is. Small brown trout. I've had about 5 of those from minnow size up to probably about £1. A couple of chub, probably a dozen dace, probably a few more than that, and the odd minnows. Luckily the minnows have left us alone, so as you say, it doesn't matter how cold it is, the lakes are frozen, you can get out, pick the right venue, you can get down the river and you'll catch a few fish. So there we go. Thank you very much.